Two of Poland's national heroes, Tadeusz Kościuszko and Kazimierz Pulaski, fought in the American Revolutionary War. Pulaski died in America from battle wounds in the war against the British, and Kościuszko survived the revolution and left a legacy as both a visionary and a reformer. With funds from his military pension as a brigadier general in the American Army, and from the sale of land granted him by the Continental Congress, he began a program of purchasing and emancipating American slaves, reuniting families whenever possible, and setting up the newly free reunited families in business and farming enterprises. On a personal note, Kościuszko was a personal hero to my great-grandfather, William Lloyd Garrison, who edited an anti-slavery newspaper called The Abolitionist in New England, and who wrote of Kościuszko that he was the true archetype of the American ideal of soldier, patriot, and scholar. The late 19th and early 20th centuries were a time of intense Polish emigration, almost all of it to America. More than 2.5 million Poles came to the U.S. between 1870 and 1914. The strength of the image in Poland today of America as the land of opportunities rooted in the success of those early immigrants. Now, also rooted in this immense human wave and its success are some of the stereotypes and prejudices against Poles that remain alive in America today. The racial slurs characterizing Poles as stupid, lazy, and dirty stem from the threat that newly arrived immigrants from other countries who were just gaining a foothold in America felt upon seeing this enormous wave of Poles arriving, all of whom seemed willing to take any work, however hard and however dirty. Many of those who remained in Poland received regular gifts of cash and food from their American cousins, and many Polish towns and villages benefit today, even after generations, from the prosperity of the descendants of immigrants to America. And many, many Americans of Polish ancestry have moved back to Poland on their retirement and Social Security income, where they can live an excellent life on their steady stream of American greenbacks. American business people have a natural and very significant competitive advantage in Poland because of the positive image that Poles almost universally have of the U.S., and because there are so many opportunities to network with Polish American-owned businesses in the U.S. as an entry strategy, especially for smaller American businesses to use when entering the unfamiliar Polish market.
We as Americans have really an advantage in going into Poland because we are reviewed as experts, not only technological experts, but we're viewed as people who know how to get the business done and how to make money. Everyone's interested in making money. One of the things that I find especially interesting in regards to that is that beyond the fact that you have to know to plan to do your business well, you should be aware of the fact that even though you lay your plan out, you have to be very flexible in Poland. It's a country that's changing. Day by day, there are changes taking place. So what you assume can happen with you in the banking world here, how to get credit, how to set up a loan, how to come into the banking and just ask some basic information, some of those mechanisms are not even in place. Another mechanism that definitely is not in place is the telephone system. We're moving forward, but for many a time when I would visit Poland, and just recently, finding a telephone that will take zloty, which is the currency, rather than a zeton, which is a type of token, can be very frustrating. Remember, besides planning to fail and failure to plan, is the issue that you have to be prepared to have money in the form of currency, zloty, and or a zeton, which is the token for the phone. Be flexible. It will make things much easier for you.
Poland's historic record begins in approximately 966 AD, and the Polish state reached its regional economic and political heights in the years following the union with Lithuania in 1386, and the subsequent great Polish victory over the Teutonic Knights at Grunwald in 1410. The monarchy of Poland survived several centuries of upheaval after these glory days, but eventually went into a prolonged decline, ending with the final partition of Poland by Prussia, Russia, and Austria in 1795. Poles remember events and personalities in their history with striking intensity. When you hear Poles talk about a historical event, it can seem like that event happened just yesterday. Individual Poles seem to feel a responsibility not to forget history, and they honor this commitment by consciously telling and retelling stories to those who were not there and who can't remember. Children, succeeding generations, and even outsiders. Everyone is somehow drawn into the memory of history by this universal Polish quality of storytelling. As an example, we've said that World War II is a vividly living memory in Poland. Of 35 million people alive in Poland in 1939, 6 million were dead by 1945. No family was untouched by this enormous loss. However, it's Poland's particular horror that of these 6 million victims, only 10% died in active battle. The others, 90% of the dead, perished in extermination camps, forced labor camps, prisons, and during deliberate mass bombing of civilian targets. Thousands of monuments to the victims and martyrs of this time have been erected all over Poland. They stand on busy street corners and in remote rural areas. People from all walks of life attend to them daily, bringing flowers and memorial candles. The sites and ruins of Nazi death camps draw daily busloads of visitors, both adults and children. As a consequence of this pervasive awareness of history, any American business person who makes even a small effort to review and understand some of the key events from history which still burn in Polish memory, burning in some cases with deep shame, and in other cases with great pride, will gain a tremendous amount of respect from even casual Polish associates, and will find themselves on the receiving end of an open call on the resources, connections, and opportunities available through a widening circle of Polish business contacts who love to discover an interest in their own country and its culture, especially in Americans, from whom they so dearly want both understanding and respect.
When you go into Poland, time is of the essence. And that does not mean, from the American viewpoint, that time is hurry, 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 hurry. It means that you must go into Poland and take your time. Poland is a country that is just now coming out from under communistic regime, and they still, in many ways, although not new perhaps to business as we know it, they are still finding themselves, and many of the companies you deal with could perhaps have still a communistic background. By that I don't mean that they are communist. I mean people who run them and all are more accustomed to that type of government or to that type of regimen than to the entrepreneurial type of regimen. So time is of the essence in Poland. You need to approach your business in Poland with the thought that A, I'm going to devote the time necessary to make a good business arrangement. B, I'm going to devote the time necessary to find out everything I can to make sure that Poland is really where I need to be. And 3, I'm going to take the time necessary to get to know the people that I'm dealing with so that I have few, if any, regrets later on.
Poles invited for a work-related occasion will arrive promptly and maybe even early, and they'll bring their spouses if the invitation includes them. Most Poles will participate readily in conversation at business socializing events and will give every appearance of enjoying themselves. But they're not likely to reciprocate on a personal level unless they have a special feeling for you, since few Poles use their homes for purely business entertaining. Such impersonal obligations are carried out at official receptions and meetings in restaurants, and very often spouses don't take part.
I know that within the JCPenney company, we've taken a lot of time and effort to work with small companies, and we do work with an awful lot of small companies. Within our diversity programs, we develop small companies and help them to build their business. So I'm familiar with what small companies can do and how they can fit into a big business situation. And if Poland is a big business situation, don't think it's too big for a small company to enter. Small companies have a place there just like they do within in a big business like JCPenney. So I think that don't let the size of the country or don't let the number of people scare you. There are opportunities in Poland for the small businessman.
If you are invited to a Polish home, you should view it as a gesture that goes well beyond business or official duty. Home is the heart of Polish social life, where family and close friends gather informally throughout the year and for holidays and special celebrations. You'll be warmly received in a tradition of hospitality which has survived the upheavals of modern life. Bring a gift along with you and present it when you arrive, no matter whether the invitation's for dinner or simply for a visit. The gesture of a gift is really necessary, but it shouldn't be elaborate. Flowers are a standard but well-received gift. Candy, liquor, and special foods are also appreciated and will probably be shared immediately with everyone present. It's a courtesy to offer to remove your shoes or boots once you step inside a Polish home. If the offer is accepted, you'll probably be given some slippers to wear, but you may also be told not to bother, as you are ushered into a room which will serve as the gathering place. Now, for the average family, this room very likely also serves as the kitchen, or it may become a bedroom for a family member at night. Standards for hospitality are very high in Poland, but most people have very limited space at home and everyone has to cope with food shortages. Your host or hostess may apologize for shortcomings in their hospitality, but every attempt will be made to make you comfortable and to accord you the high honor due any guest. You'll be given the most comfortable seat, the finest tableware, and so forth. Now, your role as a guest is to acknowledge and to accept these gestures, and in that way the spirit of the occasion flourishes, and any of the constraints involved can be forgotten. If you pay a compliment and your Polish host seems to dismiss it, don't worry. When Poles accept a compliment, they don't thank the person who gave them the compliment. They belittle the value of the admired object or character trait.
One of the greatest honors you can be paid by a Polish citizen is an invitation to their home for dinner. Don't expect that that's going to happen, but if you are invited, accept graciously and make sure that you take flowers, which is a Polish tradition. It's important that you take odd number flowers. That is a symbol, again, of respect and graciousness to the hostess. Many times people will not entertain you in their home because housing is such a shortage in Poland they can't afford to. But the important thing is not so much the invitation as is the whole concept of breaking of the bread. Food plays an extremely important role in Poland. You will find that every time you go to a business meeting, whether it be in an office, in a cafe, in a restaurant, you will be served something to eat. And part of what you should be doing is make sure that you partake of what they give you. And don't make faces or make comments about, gosh, I've never had this or what, and don't ask what it is, because Polish cuisine is extremely international cuisine and it is wonderful cuisine. The breaking of the bread symbolizes an establishment of a relationship with you. So whether you are having just zakonski, which are little appetizers with a drink, or whether you're having a full meal, learn to say 100 lat, which is 100 years, which is, or na zdrowie, which is similar to the Russian, for your health. Learn the phrases that will endear you to the Polish people, and then try to remember that that will help you endear yourself to them so that you can get to your business relationship.
The Polish equivalent of Mr. and Mrs. are pan and pani, forms of address which have survived since feudal times. They were originally terms of address reserved for Polish nobility, but today they're simply terms of respect for all adults. Their use adds a dimension of heightened courtesy to any business or social interaction. When used before last names, pan and pani are the equivalent of Mr. and Mrs., though pani doesn't actually imply a woman's marital status the way Mrs. or Miss do in English. Also, unlike the English terms Mr. and Mrs., pan and pani are used familiarly with first names.